You can join us live for our next BookFunnel webinar. Check out the link in the description for more details. We hope to see you there.
So connecting with readers, the future of author engagement, a little bit what we're going to go over today, right? We're going to be talking about how things are changing in the self-publishing industry, the publishing industry in general. There's a reason why we're having this conversation about connecting with readers. So I want to set the stage for some of that so you understand why this is so important. So you don't think I'm just Chicken Little. Oh, the sky is falling, guys. Oh, no. I'm being serious. I think this is the way that the publishing industry is going, in particular self-publishing, and actually independent authors, I think, are very well positioned for the changes that are going to be coming in the industry. So I want to encourage you a little bit too. We're going to ask the question, why should we connect with readers? Why would we want to connect with readers? Of course, I'm being a little facetious there, a little tongue in cheek. Of course we do, but why? What's the benefit for us? And then how can we connect with readers? I have a whole list of ideas for you on how to connect with readers. You'll be able to take a screenshot, don't worry. And so you can see that whole master list of different ideas for you of how you can connect to readers. Then we're going to be highlighting a new book funnel, featured digital ebook signing. I'm going to be doing a demo on that, telling you a little bit about it and why it's relevant to this conversation of connecting with readers and why BookFunnel is going in that direction as well, right? Because I think that this is really important for the future of the self-publishing industry, the industry just in general. So let's dive into it. So things are changing again. The old way of doing things used to be, back in the day, authors used to rely on publishers, right, with limited opportunities to connect directly with readers. So this is before the ebook revolution, before Kindle was a thing, right? That's kind of what kicked it all off and made it accessible to readers, made self-publishing viable. Prior to that, authors had some limited opportunities. You could do a book signing, or you could do an interview maybe, and that would go in the newspaper, but you wouldn't really have that opportunity unless you were already published, and there was gatekeepers and that whole thing. We all kind of know that. If you've been doing any kind of independent publishing or self-publishing, you kind of know how that works. If you are also a published author, you know how that works too. And I want to quickly here, before we get too far into the weeds, even if you are traditionally published or have a publisher, I encourage you to think of yourself still as an independent author, because in many cases, there are still going to be things that you're going to have to do for yourself as an author that your publisher is not going to do for you. Right? That's the age-old trope, right? Published authors are always saying, "Oh, my publisher doesn't market my book enough," right? Or something like that. That's the trope, right? And so think of yourself as an independent author. Right? Even if you're published, you're still independent, right, in that respect. Now, the ebook revolution came along, like I said, with ebooks and platforms like Amazon, in particular Kindle, making self-publishing viable. Authors began using tools like mailing lists and Facebook ads to connect with readers. Of course, mailing lists were one of the first things that we used to connect with readers. It was a tool that worked really well for authors, because what do authors do? We give you words on a page, right? So it's very easy for us to do that like on a weekly basis or a monthly basis and just tell you what's going on. It's a very effective communication tool in that respect. And it is a way of connecting with your readers. Facebook ads became a thing too, right? At one point there, for those who know your self-publishing history, Facebook ads kind of took over. And we're in a kind of an odd spot here where it's not really what it used to be, but Facebook ads are still effective if you know what you're doing. And it is also a way for you to connect, or really find readers to connect with, I guess you'd say. But technology has changed things. Right? It didn't used to be this way. You couldn't just write a book and then put it on the internet and run ads to it. You couldn't just go out and do those things, right? You had to go down these traditional channels. So things have already changed a lot. Just the fact that we're here, just the fact that BookFunnel is here. Yeah, things have changed. Well, they're gonna change again. Disruption is the rule. So things like AI generated content, market saturation, major platform changes that threaten to disrupt the current status quo. These are things that independent authors are more vulnerable to. Whatever you think about AI generated content too, I know there's gonna be differing opinions here, even in this webinar. That's not the point. I'm not trying to start an argument here. I know there are some people who are very anti-AI. Some people are very comfortable with it. But either way, what do we know? AI generated content is out there. It's easy and fast to make, and that is going to disrupt the market in one way or another. In fact, in ways that we don't even know. Even if you're pro AI, I think you can recognize that it's going to have an impact, already is having an impact on certain markets. When it comes to ebooks in particular, market saturation, there are, I can't remember the exact statistic, but something in like the last 5 to 10 years, more books have been published than in all of prior human history. There's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of people out there writing books, right? And so one of the consequences of this ebook revolution is that there's going to be a lot more books, right? There's a lot of stuff out there for people to read. So for readers, it's great. There's a ton of stuff to read. But for authors, it can be maybe a challenge then to like stay above water and be found and find those readers. And then major platform changes. These types of things I think are coming. There's certain, I'm not going to get into specifics because then I'm not trying to panic anybody, but there are certain ways that right, self-publishing is working right now that are not going to exist in the future or are going to change, right? And that's going to affect authors who are, if you're all in on a certain strategy, if you're all in on a certain platform, at some point those things are going to change. Not tomorrow, right? Things aren't going away tomorrow, but these platforms are going to change the way they've been doing things. And I think that it's actually going to affect independent authors a lot because we're really good at adapting to these platforms, kind of figuring out what the rules are and adapting to them and sort of maximizing like the rapid release strategy. This is one example. I think the rapid release strategy is going to wind up, for a variety of reasons, having a big effect on a lot of authors. The fact that a lot of authors have been doing it because there are going to be changes to these platforms, changes that you might not even recognize. I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm not trying to get into the weeds on that, but there are going to be things that change and you're going to have to adapt to them. And not everybody is. So how do you stand out from the crowd? Well, social media, direct sales, direct audiobook distribution, in-person sales events, and even more options out there make connecting with readers easier than ever before. Now, readers can see your face. You can have a social media presence and you can connect with them that way. If you don't want to show your face, you can still connect with them in a variety of different ways. These are all ways that you can sort of humanize yourself and form a connection with readers. I had a funny story on this now, and this is 100% true. I didn't make this up for the purpose of this webinar, but last week I was going to the doctor. Trust this is relevant. Hold on a moment. I walk in the door in the waiting room, and I'm waiting to walk up and check in. And this guy sitting there in the waiting room goes, "Hey, I've read all your books." And you got to understand, this doesn't happen to me. That doesn't happen to me every day. And I'm not that big of a deal. I'm probably more likely to get recognized for being that BookFunnel guy. I was wearing a BookFunnel shirt too, so it kind of confused me for a moment. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I check in, I pay my copay, and I come back and I realize, oh, I recognize this guy. He's the guy from the gym. I told him about my books. I gave him my Amazon links. It's like, yeah, I read all your books the last few months. I've just been reading them. Had a little conversation there. It's pretty cool. It was pretty neat. As an author, like that was neat. But that and a couple of other things, a couple of other experiences I've had have made me realize this is an opportunity now. A lot of people live on the internet these days, and getting out in front of people, making some kind of personal connection, even if it is on the internet, right, is going to be important to a lot of people. And you might not be able to have 100,000 fans or sell 1 million copies, but you don't need to. Can you connect with 10 readers? Can you connect with 100 readers on some level? 1,000? Yeah, you can probably do that. And that's enough for 1,000 plus. That's enough for a pretty healthy self-published career. So why connect with readers? What's the big deal? Why can't I just write my books and publish them and then write the next book? Why do I have to talk to people? Readers aren't just interested in books. They're interested in getting to know the author behind the stories that they love. They really do want to know how you tick and how you think. As an author, this might be odd to you. You might not think of it that way, but they do. Anybody who consumes creative media, they want to know who's behind it. Stronger connections are what create superfans. Superfans, these are the kinds of readers that will buy everything that you write and they will evangelize you without being asked. That's kind of my general definition of what a superfan is, right? These people will buy everything that you write, every book you publish. This guy that I bumped into at the doctor's office, like, when's your next book coming out? I'm like, oh man, nobody's asked me that. He put me on the spot, right? They want to know. He was probably a super fan, and I didn't know he was a super fan, but that, And amid rising market disruption, being connected with your readers helps future-proof your author career. When there's a whole bunch of stuff going on because Amazon has changed some big aspect of their platform, or it's a lot harder for your book to get seen because there's a whole bunch of new content being posted out there, the readers that you're connected with, that you form a connection with, are going to be your buffer against that change because they have a reason to stick with you. They have a reason to come back to you. There's a kind of personal connection that they have with you beyond just, hey, I liked your book cover and your description, so I bought your book and I read it and I liked it. Something above and beyond that, right? All that's great. And right, you should still rely on writing a good book, telling a good story, right? All that stuff, all that conventional wisdom still matters. But this is going to matter more and more as new technology emerges. It disrupts the market, but that technology can also be there to help you to connect with readers in ways you haven't before. So how can you connect with readers? This is that list I promised. I'm not going to read this whole thing, right? Because it's a long list of stuff. These are just some ideas. This is not exhaustive either. I would have to make the font really small if I did. But these are just a number of ways that you can connect with readers to give you some ideas on what you can do. You can take a screenshot of this. I'll also make sure that the slides are available if you want to download them after the fact. Right. So you can go through this as well. Things on here that I really think are like a good idea. Obviously, a newsletter. A newsletter is always good. Make sure you have that. A virtual book club or live streaming. I think for those who are comfortable with doing that, I know not everybody is. It's easy for me to say, right? I'm here doing a webinar in front of all of you. I'm very comfortable doing that. I'm very comfortable being in front of people and talking and that sort of thing. If you're not, that's fine. You can do it in another format. But these are ways for you to connect with readers, ideas for you. Find some of these that resonate with you and implement them. You should be implementing something that goes beyond just sending your newsletter, once a month and that sort of thing. Again, your newsletter is great. I'm not saying it's not. It's part of this process. But give them something beyond just that newsletter. And again, it's not about doing everything. You don't have to do all the things. Pick and choose the avenues of connection that work best for you. Do you like I said, do you like going to your local arts festival or farmer's market and putting up a table and peddling your books, right, if you will, right? Is that something that you like? Oh yeah, I could do that, right? Do you think that talking in person with people, I'm not so comfortable with that, but I could do like the idea of making maybe videos or something that I post to a YouTube channel, right? Or whatever it might be. Again, you're probably going to think of things that I won't think about either. Because the first things that are coming to my mind are things that I feel comfortable with. My mind is like, I want to get in front of people, I want to talk to them, I want to have some kind of exchange with them, and that sort of thing. Maybe you want to do it a little differently. That's totally cool. But find something that lets you connect with them. And really, and I don't have this on here, but readers need to hear you say their name as at some point, right? If not saying it like audibly, right? They need to see you, right? Maybe it's in a Facebook group and you tag them in a post about something and it's something that's like relevant. You're not just randomly tagging them, right? But when I met this guy in person, I should have remembered his name from before. I'm terrible with names, but you get the chance to meet them, right? If you're live streaming, right? When somebody hears you say their name, that is a surefire way to make that level of connection that you're looking for. Again, doesn't have to actually be audibly them hearing your name or them hearing you say their name, but something like that. That's the idea I want to convey here. So digital ebook signing, like Jack, you're kind of shoehorning this in here, right? Right. What does this have to do with it? Hopefully you can kind of see it, but let's talk about it because it relates to this and I'm going to demo it here for you in a little bit, but what is it first? So digital ebook signing, this is an upcoming BookFunnel feature that allows you to sign ebooks for readers at events. And I should also add on to that, those events don't have to be in person, right? For those of you who are like, I don't want to, face to face, totally fine. Readers will receive a link to their customized ebook by email with your signature, message, or any other customization that you add to it. They can read it in their BookFunnel library. They can send it to Kindle just like they would any other book from BookFunnel, right? So they get lots of options like they normally would, customized with your signature. The feature performs best on a tablet. So if you're signing, it's ideally on a tablet or a touch screen. Smartphones can work, or even a computer with a touchpad can work in a pinch. I'm going to be demoing today on my laptop with a touchpad just for the ease of sharing my screen with you guys, but it can work on other, and in fact, it works better in my opinion on a tablet. Tablet's probably the best. Gives you enough room and that sort of thing. And one more note here, this feature is, of course, it's not released yet. Some details might change between now and launch. We are looking at Author Nation when the feature is going to be launched to some select users, and then after that available for most users, I think I don't want to misspeak, but I believe we are releasing it on the Midlist author plan. So here's some use cases. So an in-person signing. And so you're there signing paperbacks and hardbacks. What if those readers don't already have your physical books? You give them the option. You can still deliver them a digitally signed book there at that event, so it can supplement that. Online events are a great opportunity for this as well. You can take advantage of that with this new feature. It allows you to engage with readers in digital signing events, book clubs, live streams as well. I'm envisioning YouTube or TikTok live, people coming in. You've got a QR code where they can go and give you their email and that sort of thing. And then you can sign their books right there in front of them while you're chatting with everybody. Again, that's not going to be a good fit for everyone. Your audience might not be on TikTok or YouTube or what have you, and that's fine. But for some authors, it will be, and you can use this to that effect. See, I always get ahead of myself. I just said social media live streams. They become a way to build your mailing list, though. And actually, I'll show you here when I demo this. When you are delivering these digitally signed ebooks, you have the option of having that reader sign up for your mailing list as well. So this becomes a way for you to grow your mailing list potentially by live streaming. So you're like doing two things at once, growing your mailing list and creating content for social media, if that's one of your strategies. Again, if you're like social media, not my thing, I don't want to go down that road, totally fine. Disregard what I just said. You don't have to do that. I'm not trying to push you down a certain path, right? But for those who are like, oh yeah, it's an option. Signed ebooks can be used as giveaways and prizes. So if you have contests or rewards for mailing list subscribers, it's a great way to do that. It's really easy to do. And then you're not having to like ship a signed book and that sort of thing. If that's not something you regularly do. So that's another option. And then lastly, should be one more bullet point. That's right. Kickstarter campaigns and Patreon rewards. And if you do Kickstarter or Patreon, there you go. That's another tier for you. Another thing, another perk you can add to your various tiers or levels of, whatever it might be. And so you can integrate that in there with the things you're already offering. That's the idea. This is just a few use cases. There are definitely more. Sure you guys can come up with some as well. All right, but it's demo time now. Let me make sure that I've got the correct window up here before I share my screen, and we will hop over. Okay, we should be here. Here we go. I'll close this window. All right, so this is part of the interface. All right, now I'm not going to be able to show you guys absolutely everything when it comes to the interface today. So I know there's going to be some questions on some things. They'll be more clear when you have the interface on your dashboard. You can actually poke around with it. At this time, this is what I can show you. So there's going to be some other things that you might not see. But here we have several books. These are some of my own books. And we have a spot to put a name and an email. So we can I'll just put in my name here and my email. And again, we have the option if they want to join our mailing list. If we're doing this in person, we can ask them. We can hand the tablet to them as well. Like here, put your name and email in there. They check the box. They'll join our mailing list. You do get to choose which list they get added to. That would be on a previous page from this. I can't show you that right now, but on your dashboard, you would be able to connect to this event to a specific list if you have it integrated or if you have BookFunnel integrated with your mailing list service. Otherwise, emails, like always, will be collected in a CSV file. You can export and manually upload later. So you still get all of that, like you normally would when you collect emails with BookFunnel. So now we have to select a book here that we're going to deliver. So we'll choose this one. And what I have here are a few different options. These are tip-in sheets. And so these are separate images that I have uploaded. And I can sign these and then they get inserted into the front of the ebook when it's delivered to the reader. I made some custom ones for each of these books using some artwork. I have one where it's just like the cover art, but I've kind of pushed the text out of the way so that you can clearly see like this is probably going to be the best one to demonstrate that with here, where I've pushed my name and the title out of the way. So I have plenty of room to sign. I can select the color I want to sign with. These are the colors we have available now. I know one question is going to be, and every time I've demoed this is, can you give us more colors? And yes, that is the plan, is to give a few more color options here or potentially allow you to customize the colors. But I'll show you here if I just select white. My signature is my initials, by the way. So this works well for me here on the trackpad. For you, it might not, especially if you want to do a custom image. But if I just click, let's see, I didn't practice before this. Okay, not too bad, right? For example, I can also clear the signing pad if I want to start over. Maybe that wasn't good enough. And I can sign it again. I can also change the thickness, right? If I want it to be a little thicker, right? Or I can make it thinner as well. So you have the option to adjust that to your signature. Maybe you want it to look like it's a big chunky Sharpie marker, what have you. You have options there. I'll go back here as well and show. So this is again an example of a tip-in sheet. Again, I customize this. You'll be able to customize these and upload them separately as like a JPEG or a PNG. And then I can sign here in black. It shows up a little bit better. This is probably great if I was going to also write like some kind of message here under this, like, hey, thanks for all your support. Really appreciate it. And then my signature. Again, on a trackpad, it's not the greatest for writing. Like, really, you can see here, anything more than a signature becomes kind of tedious, but on a touch screen, much easier to do, especially if you have like a touch screen pen or a stylus. It can work a lot better, especially with a little bit larger screen, and you can customize and write even, a paragraph worth of text on here if you wanted to, just for today's purposes. Excuse me. And for this demo, a little hard to show. You also have the option of signing a blank page. And so this is a blank canvas, and you can write on here to your heart's content. But once we're ready to deliver this to the reader, and let's choose this one. So I'll go ahead and add my signature here, and we're ready to save and send. That will send it off to the reader. It's delivered to their email. And then I actually should be able to open that up for you all as well in the BookFunnel library to show you. And show you what it looks like here in the BookFunnel library. Let me just do a couple things real quick here so I can pull that up for you guys in a separate window. There we go. And we'll switch to sharing that window now. Okay, so here is my BookFunnel library. I believe this should be the book that was just delivered. So here's the signed book. We're going to read it in browser. And you'll see here is the signed image right here at the beginning of the book. And then they can go through and read the book as normal, just like that. All right. So I know we're going to have some questions. We're going to dive into those here. And we might have some questions about the slides and questions about ebook signings. So I'll do my best here to get to everything. Let's see. I've got to scroll up and find where we started. Let's see. Is a Kindle Fire considered a tablet? I know I'm dating myself here. Diana asks. So I would say it should work if you're able to open your BookFunnel dashboard and it has a touch screen, any device where you're able to open up your BookFunnel dashboard on a browser and use a touch screen. You'll be able to do ebook signings from that. If it's an iPad, if it's an Android tablet, as long as you can open it in a browser and get to this window in your browser and it has a touch screen, then you are good to go. Let's see. Morgan asks, does this e-signing work for those of us exclusive to KU, or do we have to be wide? So Morgan, that's a good question. Couple things I'll say in that regard. First of all, Kindle Unlimited, KDP Select require you to be exclusive to their platform. That means you don't give access to your books through other platforms. So if you have a book that's in Kindle Unlimited, you have a couple options. I would not deliver the full book, but what you can do instead is do perhaps your reader magnet and sign that if you're giving it away. Or you can upload a book to BookFunnel that just includes the book cover and maybe a thank you note on the inside. Now, you might say, well, that's not going to be connected to the actual ebook that they're going to be getting and that sort of thing. And I totally understand that. If your books are in KU, I'd rather you like hedge your bets and not give away the book. They could potentially, get you in hot water with Amazon. Alternatively, you can also sign like a sample or include only a sample in that book if you sign it, that sort of thing. Either way, if they've gotten your book through KU, this is going to be a separate book object from that book on their Kindle device. They could sideload it into Kindle. They could get it over there, but it's going to be its own separate thing when they read it there. And that's where having these custom tip-in sheets is a way for you to again, add kind of some extra customization there that might allow you to, again, sign the cover or the artwork, but not actually deliver the book. So you have some flexibility. Let's see. So Kitty says, I figured out how to do this manually last year, but a faster, easier way to do it will be great. Yes, obviously you could, at any time you could create a book that includes a digital signature inside of it. The thing about that is that you aren't signing that book for that individual reader. And so The idea here is that, yeah, you can customize and deliver it to each reader individually. Heidi has a question here. I've been giving signed ebooks to promo winners for several years, and they really like it. I create a special page in Vellum, and it comes out great. Signing it live would be cool too. Yes. Yes, it would. And you can already deliver if you've got an ebook that includes a sort of like a static digital signature, meaning that it's the same signature in each copy of the book. You can do that already with BookFunnel. This is allowing you to do that live, that sort of thing. Michelle, I've been wishing for this to be a thing for years. So glad you're making it a reality. Yes, it is. I'm glad too. I'm really excited for it. I've got all sorts of things that I'm gonna get out there in the streets and demo it in some other context as well once it's out there. So let's see here. Let's see. We have a question. Does the ebook signing work with KU? I think we kind of addressed that already. We need to create a special landing page for this. Okay. So as far as the landing page is concerned, the idea is we are planning on having a landing page where readers can submit their email to request a signed copy. And then that goes into a queue where you can then sign those. You wouldn't necessarily have to be doing this live. You could put it out there and then come back and sign those ebooks at a later time. That is the plan. I'm not sure that will be implemented immediately when the feature is released, but that is something that we want to release for the feature. Yes. Let's see here. Let's see. Are you saying this is coming out to authors on the mid-list author plan? I believe so. Yes. I have to double check, but it should be available to most authors. I don't think we're going to be adding this at the bestseller level. I do believe we're going to be adding it on the mid-list level. I could be wrong though. If it turns out I'm wrong, you can yell at me when the feature's released. You have permission. Let's see. Morgan says purple, please. I think she's talking about colors for signing. Oh, I have to put in an email first. So the idea, and I'll say, I am not a developer. On the BookFunnel team, we call them the wizards. I am not a wizard, so I don't know how to make things happen here. But what I would like to see personally, maybe in addition to this, is like one of those rainbow color wheels where you can click it and you can put in a hex code. Maybe you have specific colors for your branding. That's what I would like to see. That's what I am pushing for. Every time I talk to the engineering team, I'm like, give them a color wheel. Give them a color wheel. Right. So yes, I will be advocating for that very strongly. But if not, I'll make sure that like purple and orange get added here too. But hopefully we'll get that color wheel. Or at least a spot where you could put in a hex code. Let's see. OMG, I wish I could clear the page. I'm signing on paper books. It's my biggest anxiety about signing that I'll mess it up. Yes, I totally hear you, Michelle. One thing you can do, and this is with physical books like paperbacks and so forth, is to sign a tip-in sheet instead. And so you have a stack of sheets like this, and then you insert them into the book. And that's what some authors will do. That happens. So that way you're not actually signing, like it makes its way into the book, if that's one thing that you're concerned with. But either way. So Lisa is asking, are the books PDFs in this demo? These are EPUBs and Kindle EPUBs. This should work with PDFs as well, though. I don't see why it wouldn't. So it could definitely work with PDFs as well. Let's see. Jim asks, can this be extended to audiobooks? Jim, are you clairvoyant by chance? Have you ever, I think there's tests that you can take to see if you're psychic. Yes, we are looking at adding this for audiobooks as well. However, it would be a little different. It would be an audio recording that you would add to a custom audio message, essentially. So it would still be an audio format. That's what we're thinking. Might be an option where like the cover could be signed physically, but otherwise it would be like you could record a custom audio message. And then when they go to listen to their ebook, that's like the first thing. And it's you saying, hey, John, thanks for, buying my book or whatever you want to say. You'll say something much better than what I just came up with, I'm sure. But yes, that is on the roadmap. For right now, just ebooks. Blair asks, will there be an added charge for the ebook signing tool? No, it'll be added to whatever plan it is added to, it'll be included. For most features that we add when we release new features, like we did this with the custom themes. Technically, when we added direct sales a number of years ago, we just added that feature. Prices didn't change. We didn't upcharge anybody. The only feature that we've released that has required like an additional upgrade is audiobook distribution. And that's because audiobook distribution is very, very storage heavy and literally has an actual physical cost associated with it. So you upload an audiobook to BookFunnel, we have to pay to store that. And so that's why we charge additional fees for that. But most other features that we release, we do not add additional charges for that sort of thing. We recently gave you the ability to share links to YouTube and social media videos on your landing pages, to add custom images to your landing pages. If you're on the bestseller plan, we add new features from time to time. And if you already have an existing plan that has access to those features, unless it's like something again, like audiobook distribution, you won't be paying any extra for that. Linda asks, can you type a message and sign your name? This is a good question, Linda. This is not something that I have. It's not available right now in this version. It might be something, it's something that we are aware of that people requested. So it might be implemented in the future. One thing you can do though with these custom tip-in sheets, because you can add multiple sheets here for an individual book, you could create a sheet that has a typed message on it and then use that as the tip-in sheet and sign it. So that gives you some customization. Might not be exactly what you're imagining, but something like that will be doable in one way or the other. Now, let's see here. Do people have to be logged into BookFunnel to get this book, or is it a link? Lisa asks. It gets emailed to them, so they do not have to log into BookFunnel in order to get it. Of course, it gets added to their BookFunnel library automatically, so if they already use it, they can get it that way. But yeah, they can use the link that gets emailed to them, sideload it, whatever they want to do. It will respect whatever delivery settings you have created for that book. So I know some authors restrict their books to the BookFunnel app or Cloud Reader. Some authors have only a PDF available or that sort of thing. It will respect those delivery settings. I've seen some messages in here like, yes, a hex code or a color wheel. Yes, I will advocate for that as strongly as I possibly can to the engineering team as well. So one other thing I do have here as well, I wanted to show where you can do multiple variations. This would be an example of like something you could do for Kindle Unlimited. So this version, this is my reader magnet right here. And I have a version of the book that has a landscape like cover. This is literally the cover of the book, and it is the artwork. And so it's in a different format. This could be something you could do for, say, Kindle Unlimited titles, where I'm going to deliver this, and there's a thank you note inside the book. And just as an alternate way for you to deliver the book as well, right? It's in different dimensions, gives you, maybe you prefer writing a message on here. You can play with that sort of thing. You can upload versions of books to BookFunnel that are specifically designed to be signed, right? Like a special edition ebook or something. Like the sky is the limit here. Pam has a question. Will we get notified when there is a signing request? I think we're asking about that landing page feature where readers can submit their emails. That would be a good thing to have, in fact, and I think that should be something we will implement. I'm going to add that to our feature request list for this, because that would make sense that you'd have some kind of notification that, hey, somebody requested a signed ebook from you. It might be something, Pam, where we send you the email once a day at the same time every day if there are requests waiting. So it might not be that you get an immediate email or you get an immediate notification, but something like that should be doable. Or like, every day at 11 a.m., the system checks to see if you have requests waiting, and we send you an email at that time. So question here. I missed one. I might have missed one. Totally happens. Okay. Best practices for authors using a pen name. Okay. So if we're just talking about in general, best practices for using a pen name, or with regards, I guess I would need maybe a little bit of clarification here. Really, if you're using a pen name on BookFunnel, or you're signing live, okay, with regards to signing live, obviously if you're using a pen name for privacy reasons, you're going to, and you're like in person with somebody or what have you, obviously you don't have to, there's information you don't have to share. I will note that this event, these are not all the books that I have on my BookFunnel account. I have way more books than this. So I selected the books ahead of time that would be added to this event, because I think I'm maybe foreseeing the heart of the question is here, which is that, are they going to be able to see all my books, including ones that are from different pen names? No, you will be able to select the books that you want associated with this event. And so when I pulled this up on my tablet or what have you at an in-person event, if I hand the tablet over to them, I'm tripping over my own words here, folks, for them to put in their name and their email, they're only going to see whatever books I've selected to be here. They're not going to see all the books that I've uploaded to BookFunnel. I think that might be the question. But if you have multiple pen names, you have different pen names on BookFunnel, that allows you have control over that and what's going to be used for this signing event. And then it's just a matter, like if you're in person, like, yeah, you're signing as your pen name, right? Which means that this is not something, because I don't write under a pen name. I've never had to think about this, like learning the signature of another name that's not my own is that sort of thing. Here, Laura has a comment here on this that actually I think makes sense. When you get tired, you might accidentally sign with your real name. So keep it short, mostly the first initial and squiggle. Yes. So, for example, yeah, if you use this pen name that has the same initials and your signature, like mine, is your initials, hey, you're good to go, right? That's really easy. But that's a good point, Laura. See, I wouldn't have thought of that. But yeah, if you get tired or you're signing a lot of books, I could see that happening. So Elizabeth has a question. Could this be integrated with direct sales? So someone buys a signed ebook and then we get the request in BookFunnel, sign, and it's delivered to the reader. So it's possible we might connect this with direct sales. However, it will still work with direct sales out of the box, and I'll explain. So a reader goes to your direct store and they purchase all the books in, like they purchase a trilogy of books, let's say, and they select, I want them digitally signed. Okay, cool. So BookFunnel will immediately deliver the books. And what you would just need to do is go in and check when you have these books that need to be signed, create an event for those books. And again, just because you've created an event for a book signing doesn't mean that it's public or readers can find it. It's just the way that you get to this page where you can then sign the books. You put in the reader's name and email, you select the book, you sign it, you send it to them. If it's the same book, right? The same version of the book, the same book object is what we call it. The book that they purchased through your store will automatically get updated in BookFunnel with the signature. So if they download, if they go back to the link and download it, they'll get another email notification too with a link, right? So you can come in after the fact and sign it in that way, and that will still be compatible with direct sales. It will just update in their BookFunnel library and from their like BookFunnel download pages where they're going to download that book, sideload it into another device, what have you. There would just potentially be a bit of a delay, obviously, between when they purchase the book and when they get the digitally signed book. But that should be kind of implied with that feature anyway. So it will already work with that in that respect. Whether or not we do integrate this feature or connect it directly, we'll have to see whether or not that's necessary, because it might be something we can add a little sneaky way to do that really quick and easy. But it will still work like this even. So, for example, if I have customers who have purchased these books from me already, I can sign these books now, even if they purchased it months ago, and I can sign it for them. And it will update the copy that's in their BookFunnel library that way. Additionally, another alternative, if you wanted to sell the book through your store and not have BookFunnel delivered immediately, and then you come in and you sign it, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you wanted to do that, right, if you're the type of person who stays on top of that stuff, and then you deliver it through a signing event page like this, you could do that as well. Let's see. Jillian has a question. Can you create a product in your payment method, i.e. Stripe or what have you, that is the signed ebook? You would then know from the purchase that it's to be signed? Yes. Yes. And in fact, what I would recommend you do then too is create a specific version of the book on BookFunnel that is for that signed ebook that's associated with that product in your store. That way, if you are delivering through a sales integration, let's say you're using Shopify instead, the book gets delivered immediately, and then you go in and you sign that version of the book for that reader, and it gets updated like I described. Kitty says, please tell the wizards we love them. Yes, I will be sure to pass that along. We've got a lot of good positive feedback on this feature, and of course, a lot of requests. So if there's any ideas you have, like, can it be used in this way? Don't hesitate to ask. We really love your input on this, guys. So yeah, if you have anything else. We're getting to here towards the top of the hour. I'm happy to keep the Q&A going if people have more questions, but we might be wrapping up here soon. We do have another question here, though. So how does the digital or online signing work with books purchased on Amazon? So this is a good question. So important to note, if a reader has purchased your book on Amazon, any other online retailer, BookFunnel cannot update the book that they purchased and received from that store. Or we just can't. Right? When they purchase it on Amazon, that file gets transferred to their device or to their app by Amazon and is basically read-only, essentially. It can't be modified, at least not easily, and that sort of thing. So if they already purchased your book on Amazon, and then you're going to sign the book for them, the ebook, what's going to happen is they're going to have to download that book from BookFunnel in order to receive it. Or if they just want to collect it in their BookFunnel library, that's cool too, right? And they can keep it there. But if they sideload it to their Kindle device, it will appear as a separate version of the same book on Kindle, right? Or any other device that they sideload it to. And that's just the name of the game. Obviously, Amazon, is going to only allow Amazon to deliver books in that way to Kindle devices and Kindle apps. That's why they created side loading and that sort of thing. And we obviously take advantage of that as BookFunnel, but we can't automatically deliver books to Kindles or Kindle apps or any other e-reader. They don't, they have their own, they want you to buy the book through their store. And so likewise with this, they'll be getting the books some other way. All right. So Jim asks, so you create a special product with a particular delivery action that BookFunnel recognizes as a signed ebook and delivers that info to the buyer with the delivery link. Sort of. As of right now, like out of the box, we'll say. BookFunnel, when it's delivering a transaction, isn't going to know that that book is meant to be signed, but it will recognize the SKU and which book object you've told it to deliver. And so if you have a specific book object, that's a book that you create on your dashboard, that's supposed to be the signed version of the book, you could come in after the fact and sign it for the reader who purchased it. That just helps you organize things better. In the future, it might be like that, though, where BookFunnel, there's maybe a box you can check that says, when this SKU or item ID comes through, that book is supposed to be signed. And that might be something that we implement in the future. But as of now, that's not how the feature will work once it's released, unless we add that real quick. So that's a possibility in the future, but as of now, I can't say that that's how it will be. Instead, you'll have to come after the fact and sign the book for the reader, but it still kind of functions in the same way. It will wind up functioning in the same way because there's still going to have to be some kind of delay. That reader could purchase your books at 3:00 in the morning, right? For example. And then you're going to have a system where you go back and check and see what books need to be signed. And that's no matter what you do, that's going to be something that you're going to have to do. And whether or not you sign it through an event like this that you manually create, by the way, once you create these events, you don't have to create an event each time. You can keep it open, right? Whether you do that or we give you some tool to do that right there on your sales dashboard, either way, for the reader, from what they experience, it's going to be very simple. So Mary asks, do you recommend our lead magnet be a signed copy or offer signed copies as an incentive for a book signing event or promo to increase subscribers? Okay, so this is a good question. Your regular old reader magnet, I think, doesn't need to be signed. You put it in BookFunnel promos, you run ads to it, that sort of thing. That's great. Where you could do this signing thing for reader magnets, a couple places. I think doing some sort of using it as a giveaway can work well. With social media, this can make a lot of sense where if you have, like a social media presence and you want readers and people who follow you on social media to do something like share a post or something like that, or comment on something. And then you choose from the people who've commented and you give one of them a signed copy of a book, for example. That's something you could do there. That's how you could offer it as like a prize. Or if there's something that you want them to do in order to be entered to get it, or if they just do this thing, they get it. But it's kind of a step beyond just signing up to your mailing list. You might have to think about exactly what that looks like for you individually. Or offer those signed copies in a setting where you're going to interact with them. So, like I said, you can give it away as a prize or something like that, and that's great. But if you want to offer it more freely, you can do like a book club or something like that, or a live stream. Be like, yeah, every Friday at this time, you guys can join me on a Zoom call, or I'm going to be, live on YouTube or whatever it is you do. Maybe it's not every Friday. Maybe it's once a month. Maybe it's a specific date. Get people to sign up, show up. And maybe you have them on a Zoom call like this and you interact with everybody. You go through the whole group of people and you sign their books, chat with them a little bit. Right. That would be a really powerful way to do it. And they have to come to the event in order to get the signed book. You get the opportunity to connect with them, chat with them a little bit. I personally think that's really powerful. Right? And so that's where I would tell you to like lean into is like, if they're going to get a signed ebook, you want to be interacting with them, ideally. Now that's, again, we've been also talking about direct sales and delivering signed ebooks. And so in that context, like that wouldn't necessarily make sense, right? But if you're just going to do a signing, like this allows you to essentially just, go live on whatever platform you want and do a book signing with your readers is the idea. And if you have different books that you're signing at different events, you get readers that come back, right? Or you update your cover art, or you're releasing a special edition of your ebook. Like, there's all sorts of reasons why people might want to attend those events. And then that's something that a reader's going to talk to someone about. That's something that a reader's going to tell their friend about, or what have you. It's like, oh, I went to this digital ebook signing and I met my favorite author. Like, that's really impactful. So it's up to you. You can use it as a carrot on a stick, right? And like, I'm going to be picking 3 people who comment on this video and delivering you the signed ebook. Like, okay, cool. That's cool. But if you have the opportunity to interact with them, like I said, even if it's like you do something like Zoom, you do something like a live stream on social media, maybe it is an in-person event. Maybe you do have a following of readers in your local area. That's an option as well. Let's see here. What does the digital signature actually look like? So a question from Regina. So Regina, you might have missed it possibly. When you're signing, you actually do sign the ebook. Well, that one's actually pretty good. I did that. Yeah, that looks nice. You sign it yourself. So on a touch screen, I'm using the trackpad here on my laptop, but it's not like an AI version of your signature or some sort of rendering of it, but you actually sign it digitally. Is the idea. Jim says this would be great for a book club meeting. You record the conversation and then personalize your message after the meeting. Exactly. We're on the same wavelength there, Jim. Regina, and do you have a clip of a digital signing someone did? Maybe yours. This is a good question. We don't yet because this feature is not released. I am going to be doing some of these though. I've been telling the powers that be at BookFunnel, but I want to get in front of the people. Maybe it's a little selfish. I am a self-published author as well. Yeah, I'll be kind of promoting myself a little bit, but I want to do this so that I can actually do it and then tell you guys, this is what works. I've actually done this thing and gone out there and done it. I'm hoping to do some of that here in the near future and kind of experiment with it leading up to Author Nation. Author Nation is when we're going to be, around that time is when the feature is going to become available. In fact, if you are signing books at Reader Nation, which is their signing event there, you have the opportunity to actually get some early access to the feature and use it there. If you have questions about that, I recommend you follow up with us at support@bookfunnel.com. But then shortly after that, the feature will become available for most everybody. But yeah, I want to get out there and showcase this for everybody. And so you can see how it works at in-person events, live streams, that sort of thing as well. Right. Because yeah, you're right. It would be great to have kind of a demonstration of and right now I'm just kind of giving you a preview of the feature because it's not released yet. So it's a little theoretical, but yeah, I'm going to get out there and show you guys how it's done too, not just sit here and preach from the pulpit as well. All right. Well, we are a little bit past the top of the hour here. So I don't know if there's any additional questions, feel free to add them in here and I'll get to those before we wrap up. But we'll probably do that here. I want to thank you guys for joining us. Of course, if you have any follow-up questions, again, reach out to us, support@bookfunnel.com. Like I told everybody in our last session, we reply to emails 7 days a week, usually between the hours of 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Central Time here in the U.S. So if you are across the pond or down under, just know that depending on when you email us, we might be asleep, but we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And once we receive your email with your questions, if you have questions on this feature, our team is there to help you. So we don't just answer technical questions like, can't get my integration to work, right? We answer qualitative questions as well. What's the best way for me to use this signing feature? I'm really excited about it. Or like, other things like that, right? But basically that's the idea. You get the opportunity to reach out to us, get some input, get some advice, that sort of thing, if you have questions like that as well. So I think we're going to wrap things up here for today, folks. I want to thank you guys for joining me for this session. We talked about connecting with readers. We talked a little bit about, we talked a lot about ebook signing too. And I hope you see how this can help you connect with readers. It really makes that connection with them. Like I said, having the opportunity to get face-to-face with readers, digitally or physically. I think this will really help facilitate that. That's what I'm trying to say here. I was searching for the words. This feature will help facilitate that in a way that I think is going to be really impactful for a lot of authors. So again, thank you all for joining us. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you all hopefully next month for BookFunnel Live at Author Nation. Whether you're there in person in Vegas or you join us through BookFunnel Live, either way, hope to see you then. Have a good one.
Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.